line. This is a land cover map. This is literally the road. So there's 500 meters on each side, and together 1,000 meters. This is that green belt. This is how they delineate its ecological zone. It may not be following, actually, it did not follow sophisticated ecological assessment. It did not follow clear or very thorough socioeconomic analysis like Mike Hager would do. Like he would suggest if you create this kind of thing, that's a huge environmental impact. You need to do environmental assessment or analysis from multiple perspectives. That didn't happen in Chengdu. This is a very much a Chinese style policy making process. Okay, so this is how it's built. It's delineated, and some of the parts with wedges extending back into the city. So let me see how I can. This area, see this road, this is another road. This is the second ring road. This is literally the center city, the most urbanized area. And the city, just like other Chinese cities, Chengdu expand out by building ring roads. There is a one ring, another ring, another ring, right? And then in between them, you have those kind of a what called spoke type connecting road, right? And this is back in 2003, actually early 2000. The city is worried about this expanding ring, and then urban sprawl patterns. They wanted to limit that urban sprawl. And then the method they picked was building this green belt. And the method itself, we can debate whether that's the most appropriate solution, but it was something the government considered doable. So as they developed this green belt, they considered this is land use pattern of the green belt. Some of the places, including the belt and then the wedges, they were already developed by that time. This is not, we're not dealing with wild, like a wilderness, pristine, untouched land. This is peri-urban area. Most of land development is of poor quality, unplanned or illegally developed. So the city also utilized this process to bring back some of the land use into the what's considered the best usage for this area. And the decision was, you want to say something?
I guess I have a question about sometimes land has been used for a very long time by people, and I guess I was just curious if there was a cultural assessment of the area at all before people, and so were people just told to leave?
There is some displacement, but most what happened is to keep like this wedge area. It turned into wedge because there was already some agricultural land use, and particularly economic agriculture. So like flower nursery entities, tree nursery entities, those places were kept. The places where they did end up relocate are some of the poorly developed factories. And this process also involved relocating rural communities to make their settlement to be more compact. in the US, it's very common that you see farmhouses, right? You can recognize farmhouses that scattered, but they mostly spread out. One farmhouse may be surrounded by the farms. In most happened in China organically, that was the case. But increasingly, that's very inefficient in terms of land use and efficient in terms of distributing infrastructure to provide urban level services and distribute utilities in this area. So what this process of relocating people also involve putting some of the farmhouses into more clustered, higher density villages, and then convert the previous farmhouse land back into agricultural arable land. In that case, they save some land because they improve the efficiency of land use. So this is the land use part. Simultaneously, it involves thinking about transportation. Thinking about this is providing public services into all this region. Some of this area that has farm, like villages in there. So you can see, I can read the legend to you. So this area being replanned, and then in terms of changing the land use patterns, in terms of changing the distribution of farmhouses, the like farmers' residences, in order to improve infrastructure. This also involves bringing services. So the yellow circle are middle schools placed in those areas. And then there are they used to red hospitals. And circles, the purple circles are recreational sports facilities. And then another yellow thing, those are vocational schools. So the creating or developing of the ecological zone is to build what we call socio-ecological production land. So this area serving human beings, also trying to maintain biodiversity and improve ecosystem services. In order to do that, so you can see all these human-centric facilities and infrastructure being incorporated into this area. And the light blue here are wetlands. Some of them are naturally emerged, and some of them are constructed. And then the blue ones are large lakes, and then they were kind of connected with rivers, creeks, and eventually what they are trying to do is making this whole water wetlands into a complete system within this ecological zone, and making this area the main source for groundwater recharging and wastewater treatment. So those areas were kept off development, and then there are places that they still turn into a development purpose. And the next thing they did was maintain the connection between the ecological zone and then the other parts of the region. They wanted to actually bring people to use this ecological zone as recreational sites. They're not trying to keep people away from this area. They're managed. So those purple lines are highways, and those red dots are major public transportation hubs. And the red circle, these are the ring roads. So this, see the red, that's ring roads there. And the blue lines are bicycle lanes. So this region actually has now the world's longest bicycle pathway, and it's in a loop and in a system. And you can there is statistical number that how many bus routes take people into those wedges and then those green belt. And within the veggie, they have pretty strong emphasis on agro-tourism. So people, the urban residents can go there, rent a plot of land. Either they could go there, garden themselves, or they can hire a local resident to garden that piece of land. And then those residents would go there during the weekend to harvest whatever grow on those land, and then they can spend a weekend over there. So they have lots of those kind of agro tourism in that activities. There's the sports facilities. They're trying to bring in like national scale or international scale events. So they're still working on that. So this is the transportation part. This one is actually giving a better understanding of the water system, the wetlands they are trying to establish by making this more a connected system. If I remember correctly, there would be 7 lakes when it's completed. How many acres of wetlands, and all connected with rivers, creeks. So these blue lines. And this is, and then simultaneously when they're working on this, they're trying to maintain the local cultural significant sites. So this is what they identified important cultural heritage sites. I can read the Chinese, or maybe temples, old village, what are these? Yeah, so they have the red ones, that's national recognized cultural heritage preservation site. And then they have all the way down to the yellow one, the yellow dot, that's the city level. So they have national, provincial level, city level. So those are the things that's identified and then integrated into their land use plans. This one, all right. So Chengdu is a region where they have risk of earthquake. In fact, in 2008, there was a very, very big earthquake. So they integrate evacuation routes into the planning. So all these red arrows, you can see they are connecting back to the city. That's the evacuation routes. I remember there are major evacuation sites that's placed in this green belt.
Is it
There was
also mountainous, Yizhao? What's the terrain?
so terrain. This area, Chengdu, is actually in the basin. So this whole city is flat. It's actually very unusual in the Sichuan area. You have this flat area, but to the east and to the west, there are kind of like a cascade or a landform. It really looks like Oregon, you know. Chengdu, in many ways, vegetation, climate really resemble Portland. Okay, so that's the next one. And this is more of an engineering utility map. Engineering map. This shows Because a lot of this water system is man-made, so they are considering what they need to put in pipes underground to ensure the irrigation or the